One of the most important things in soap opera acting is reacting. This does not mean acting again.
Hey, it's me, it's JSB, and today on Acting is Reacting, well, it's two things. It's another 50-year flashback. 50-year flashback. I just can't help myself. I do it every time. I'm not going to stop. Huh. So it's a 50-year flashback, but it's also a random foreplay, which is where I listen to 4 randomly selected songs from usually an album, and again today, that's what it is. It is the well, you've seen it below, the 6th studio album from Chicago. That's right, Chicago VII, because they had a live album that got counted in their random weird numbering system. That, yeah, we won't get into that today. So this was released in March of 1974, hence the 50th anniversary that's leading me to do it this month. Now, some of you will have seen my earlier video where I listened to Dialogue Parts 1 and 2 from Chicago as one of my songs of 24, which are songs that reached number 24 in the charts. And on that video, I said there was another Chicago song that reached number 24 and asked you to guess it. And some of you did. None of you got anywhere near the lowest chart position of any songs mentioned in the guesses was number 9, which leads me to think that I might be the only person in the universe who actually cares about random chart facts. Could that be possible? I'd hate to live in such a world. So please, chart fans, let me know. Tell me all your great chart facts down below, and we'll get on like a house on fire. Speaking of chart facts, that other song that reached number 24 is not to be found today because there were 3 singles from this album, all of which did very well. We have Jimmy Panko's I've Been Searching So Long, which hit number 9. Ollie Lochnane's first ever writing contribution, Call On Me, hit number 6. And then Peter Cetera's Wishing You Were Here reached number 11. The album itself became their 3rd consecutive number 1 album of a run of 5. This is all US charts that I'm talking. Over here in the UK, it did precisely nothing because people here had terrible music taste in 1974 and were listening to the Bay City Rollers or something. Now, it's also their 4th and final, sadly, double. Chicago, of course, came out of the gates with 3 doubles in a row before releasing that live album, which was a quadruple, and then 2 single albums. So they went back to this being a double because it kind of began life as a pure jazz album, something that they'd talked about / shied away from / talked about some more, and they were finally going to do it this time round. So as a result, in vinyl terms, the first side and a half are purely instrumental. A couple of people, and the blame, if that's the right word, for it usually fall on Peter Cetera and band's manager / producer James William Guercio, who both felt that if they just did a pure instrumental jazz album, that they would die a death commercially. But the result is, to my mind, kind of a perfect blend of the 2 approaches, so it all worked out. And I would say most days I would call this my 3rd favourite Chicago album after the first 2. So rarefied ear really across that catalogue. But what will we hear from it today? Who knows? That's the point of a random foreplay. It's in the hands of the universe. I have no say in the matter whatsoever. We'll just hear the first 4 things that come up when I chuck it on random. So we might only get instrumentals because there's 5 or 6 on here, or we might get none of them. Who knows? Anything can happen. Traditional for me to list my favourites, which is another way of saying here's 4 songs that definitely won't come up. Just how it goes. So today I'm going to say 2 of the singles, actually, 2 of my favourite Chicago singles of all time, and Searching So Long and Wishing You Were Here. And from the album tracks, I throw in Song of the Evergreens, possibly a controversial choice, but I'm sticking with it. And Robert Lamb's Women Don't Want to Love Me, which doesn't turn up on YouTube too often, but when it does, it's often retitled Women Don't Want to Love Me, which is a much sadder state of affairs than just one woman not wanting to love you. And I would know all women love me. It's tragic because they can't have me. Sorry, ladies. In another life, maybe. Who knows? Least favourites, if you know me, and you probably don't, as a general rule, I don't actually go all that much in for instrumentals. but this album is kind of different. So when I play it normally, which is, in order from start to finish, like albums are meant to be listened to, it's almost disappointing when the vocals kick in about 25 minutes in. Almost. So I generally like everything here, but if I had to pick one least favourite, I'm going to say Mononucleosis. Mainly because it's just too catchy. And it will play in your head for at least 48 hours after you've heard it, by which time insanity is only a short way off. Even just saying the name has made me go... Yeah. So be warned if that one comes up. We'll all go insane together. So of course, being a double album, there are more tracks than ever to get in the way of my true favourites coming up, so we'll just have a good time with whatever we get. That's my only promise to you, and, well, that's more than enough preamble. Let's do it. Let's hear 4 random cuts from Chicago VII. All right, kids, here we go. Random track number 1. This is the Terry Kath track that I didn't name as one of my favourites. It's Byblos.
I saw her once before. She didn't turn me on. One night she stopped to talk, to pass the time. Then I saw her eyes, her softly smiling glow. We sat and talked all night at Byblos. She talked of feelings that I knew were true, She painted me a picture using every shade of blue. It was light with laughter. At times it made me cry. And now I'll never know just why I didn't ever try to hold her, to squeeze her.
Some of Terry's finest acoustic work on this track.
Her all night long. I never tried to please her. Then soon she had to go.
And it's a great story song, hence why I'm trying not to talk too much over it.
Thought of things she said the whole day through.
Great harmonies.
Then I realized I never took the time to find out where she lived or where to go. Thought that I would see her the next night, anticipating how I'd set myself right to take that bite. I went back to Byblos. I sat there and waited, feeling just a little nervous and a little frustrated. Then soon in she came, looking just the same. I could hardly wait to take her far from that gate. In a person
Doubling the acoustic and electric. Nice. And then, of course, Terry on vocals as well.
that I had to speak to.
I say, of course, it's not actually a dead cert on this album.
I explained the situation to her, and I thought she understood. But I guess she thought that I was driving her around. 'Cause when
She was laughing with a real good friend of mine. Apparently that real good friend was Peter Cetera, because this is pretty much a true story. Jerry's not here to confirm or deny that, of course. I doubt Peter would either, to be fair.
Just talking to her did me so much good. She do good too. So then I went home and I got it on. Sat down to write these verses when I was finally alone. Then about halfway through, wondered if someone knew where she was so I could give her a call. Then I found out that she was right down the hall. Not too far away. But that's okay. I'll just wait for the day when I can see her again and spend some time. Sometime. Gonna get her, go back and get her, gonna get her, try to get you, gonna get you, back and get you, gonna get you, gonna get you.
Right. Terry Caff, ladies and gentlemen. Just that little section with the electric guitar, but mainly an acoustic track from him, which is a rare thing and a great thing. What will we hear next? Ooh. This is the first vocal track on the album. So it's got a great instrumental opening that sort of flows directly from what's come before, funnily enough, before the vocals kick in a bit. This is Robert Lamb's song. Robert on lead vocals as well. Kind of an odd vocal from him on this. And the horns are coming in soon, which is one of my favourite parts of this song. If you were listening to this album for the first time and you knew nothing about it, you'd be really surprised when the vocals do come in on this track. You could be sitting thinking, another great instrumental, nice. So what's that? Almost a minute and a half intro. I'm not much of a Star Wars geek, but I've always half heard this as being lightsaber, and now you will too. Sorry. Some people don't like the horns. Love the horns. Ding. There's a lot of group vocals on this album. Obviously not the instrumental tracks, but when you get into it, and everybody in this band could sing pretty much, or at least carry a tune, which is more than some YouTubers can do, as we know. Huh? Pretty long, slow fade and repeat on that one, but I like it. Okay, track number 3 of the random foreplay today will be the album opener in our first instrumental. I've never known, it's only 4 letters, I don't really know how to say. Prelude to Aire. I've always just said Aire's like the acronym of this channel. Acting is reacting. A. The E on the end, you see. This is purely written by Danny Seraphim. Not his first writing contribution, but close to it. And interestingly, this is what Parasite we're hearing on the flute here, of course. Doesn't get a co-writing credit on this, but does on the 2 tracks that follow. The album is the first of only 2 times where every member of the band has a songwriting contribution. The other one is Chicago 13, which I'm a mild apologist for, but it is generally regarded as a dog. I love it when Walt plays the flute. It's probably his finest contributions to the band as a whole is when he's on the flute. Oddly. As a soloist, anyway. Being a prelude, this is only just under 3 minutes long. So. That's why I was saying it's almost over already. Will it lead into Aire itself or something completely different? Who knows? We are about to find out. Something completely different. As you can tell, for those who know the difference, I have the version of Chicago VII which retains the false ending for this track. And we've just heard it. Now here's the real ending. False start. That's the opposite, you know. So here's the real start. This is, of course, the track other than Wishing You Were Here, contributed by Peter Cetera for this album. It's apparently a big hit in Brazil, but not released as a single most other places. Apparently it was covered by Tony, Orlando and Dawn, which is a dubious distinction in the catalogue. Yeah, in some ways this is a precursor to what Peter did for/to the band in the 80s, but I don't mind those 80s ballads either, to be honest. Some people do. This shows how spoilt for choice they were for material already, and this would have been a guaranteed hit for them in the States if they put it out there at this point in time. And suddenly we're almost at the end, but as ever, we haven't got any of my actual real top favourites, but we'll play what we could have won and listen to the first 10 seconds of the next track, which is this one. Another quick instrumental, Hanky Panky. So in another universe where we started with Hanky Panky, we would have followed that with the instrumental that before that on the album Italian from New York, and then got two of my favourites, Wishing You Were Here and Woman, just the one of them, Don't Want to Love Me. But what we did here, I thoroughly enjoyed, and I hope you did too. All right, well, there we have it. That was 4 extremely random songs from Chicago and Chicago VII. We had a good chunk of the band represented across these tracks, it has to be said. We had Terry Kath's Byblos to start us off with, followed by Robert Lamb's Lifesaver, Danny Seraphine's instrumental Prelude to Aire, and Peter Cetera's Happy Man. All very strong, and most of them pretty close to my favourites, which we didn't hear, but that was okay. Yeah, I mean, as I say, this is my top 3 Chicago albums, so the chances of us landing upon a right duffer of a track were slim to none on this occasion. Um, and again, if you're a casual Chicago listener, I hope you've heard these tracks and thought, wow, there's more to this band than the hits from any decade. Speaking of which, as we know, I've been doing a bunch of these 50-year flashbacks, but before too long, I'll start doing 40-year flashbacks as well, which means that I will get to, in the next few months, Chicago 17. I'm putting this out there as a warning because there aren't probably very many people in the world who love both Chicago 7 and Chicago 17. But I do, so we'll come to that in due course. And you can either join me for that or not. That is entirely up to you. But either way, I will see you on the next video, when and indeed if that should ever happen. Bye for now.